Well, here it is. The devil's at work. Pirating is now a thing again. It's criminal.
They will use that to hide their IP address so no one knows that they're pirating stuff. You know, it's disgusting that people do this. I don't condone it. And I can't believe that we are here at this point that people think that they have the right to do this.
There's an app right now with tens of millions of users, built by two guys in Bulgaria, that the entire streaming industry has tried to kill and just can't. They've thrown lawyers at it, gotten it pulled from app stores, leaned on Apple and Google directly. None of it worked. It's called Stremio, and by the end of this video you're going to understand exactly why it can't be shut down. But here's the part almost nobody explains properly. The founders aren't untouchable geniuses, and this isn't some legal loophole they found. It comes down to how the app was actually built, a decision made back in 2012, and once you understand that decision, you'll see why this thing was basically designed to survive. That's what we're actually here to figure out.
Hey man, I don't know how true this is, fact check it on your own time. I'm sure a lot of people have heard of this, I'm sure a lot of people have not, okay? There is a free and open source alternative to Netflix. Oh, look, TikTok trying to take it down. Look, they don't want you to know. It's an alternative to Netflix, apparently. I ain't checked it out yet, so hey, if you checked it out, you let us know. Apparently, it's called Stremio. Somebody said this app is kind of insane because you can get this on your TV and play stuff in 4K, surround sound, and everything for free, apparently. I don't know if it's for free. Just fact check it on your own time. I'm just bringing you what I'm seeing here, all right? Take the one off the front of my name, put my name in any music platform, add me to your playlist. I got vibes. But yeah, guys, I don't know. I'm all about bringing y'all some free shit. If I can bring you something for free, bro, it's always gonna be on my page. Well, I swear. So, if they saying it's free, man, somebody go check it out, see if it's free. If it's free, man, hey, share it with your people, share it with your folks, your grandmama, your auntie, your godson, whatever. Until next time, give me a like, share, comment, peace.
To understand Stremio, you have to start with what came before it, an app called Popcorn Time. Popcorn Time launched out of Argentina in early 2014, and it was genuinely brilliant. It gave you a Netflix-style browsing interface, clean posters, organized catalogs, one-click play except behind the scenes. Hitting play quietly started downloading a torrent, and you watched the content as it downloaded. It didn't last. Within weeks of launching, the legal pressure got intense enough that the original developers walked away and shut the whole project down themselves. And the legal argument against them was specific. Even though Popcorn Time didn't host any pirated files on its own servers, it gave users a direct, built-in path to torrents, and that was enough to argue the app itself was distributing copyrighted content. That detail matters, because it's the exact problem the next generation of developers had to solve. Watching all of this happen from Sofia, Bulgaria, were two developers, Ivo Gorgiev and Dimo Stoyanov. They'd actually been experimenting with a similar idea themselves back in 2012, an early prototype called Cinematic, a click-and-play movie catalog that streamed straight from torrents, built on the same kind of stack Popcorn Time would later use. When Popcorn Time collapsed, they had a real opening. Demand for a Netflix-style torrent-based app hadn't gone anywhere. The app that satisfied it had just gotten killed. But they also had a very clear cautionary tale sitting right in front of them. If you bake direct torrent access into your app, you inherit the same legal exposure that just ended Popcorn Time. So they made a different choice. Their new project, which they'd eventually call Stremio, built under a company called Smart Code OOD, formerly founded in 2014, wasn't going to ship with torrent access baked in at all. It was going to ship empty. Here's what that actually meant in practice. When you install Stremio, what you get is a blank media center, a clean interface with no content in it whatsoever. Every single thing that fills that interface comes from an add-on, a small plugin that connects an outside source into the app. And the critical decision was making the whole thing open source. The core app's code is public, anyone can read it, anyone can modify it, and crucially, anyone can build their own add-on and share it, completely outside of Stremio's own servers or storefronts. Think about what that does legally. Stremio, the company, built a metadata catalog add-on, a subtitles add-on, official partnerships with services like Netflix and Prime so you could browse your existing subscriptions in one place. All of that is completely clean, you're just linking accounts you already pay for. But because the add-on system is open, the community built their own layer on top, hosted on completely separate websites, installed by users themselves, with no involvement from Stremio's servers at any point. That's the structural trick. Stremio isn't hosting or distributing anything questionable. It's a neutral piece of software that can be pointed at whatever the user chooses to point it at. It's less like a store selling contraband and more like a universal remote that happens to work on other people's devices too. Nobody's ever successfully argued that selling a universal remote makes you responsible for what someone points it at. This is also why Stremio's own team could keep the app itself boring and safe on paper, while the actual thing that makes it famous, the massive, community-built layer of content sources exists entirely outside their control. Since they didn't build any of it or host it anywhere, there's legally nothing for them to answer for. Stremio didn't explode overnight, the way some apps do. It grew slowly for years, largely because using it well required a bit of technical comfort. This wasn't a one-tap app for casual users. But the thing that actually accelerated its growth wasn't clever marketing. It was the streaming industry itself. Let's put real numbers on this. Disney Plus launched in 2019 at $6.99 a month, ad-free. Today, the ad-free tier runs $18.99. The price has nearly tripled in under 7 years. Netflix's standard ad-free plan has more than doubled over the same stretch. And according to a 2025 Deloitte report, the average household with streaming subscriptions saw their total monthly cost jump 13% in a single year, from around $61 a month to $69, and that's before you add internet service on top of it. On top of the price hikes, most of these platforms added forced advertising to tiers that used to be ad-free and pushed you to pay extra just to remove the ads you didn't have a year earlier. Meanwhile, the actual content kept splitting across more and more separate services, so even paying for several of them didn't guarantee the show you wanted was actually available anywhere. One report from research firm Antenna found prices across both ad-supported and ad-free tiers rose more than 20% industry-wide. Just since 2023, the entire market moved together on this. Not just one company. And it wasn't just the big two. YouTube TV raised its base plan by $10 in early 2026, on top of an $8 hike less than 2 years earlier. Paramount Plus raised prices twice in 18 months. Hulu's ad-supported tier went from $7.99 in 2019 to $11.99, now a 50% jump, while the ad-free tier climbed nearly 60% over the same stretch. If you wanted to piece together a proper streaming setup with 3 or 4 major services in 2026, you were realistically looking at over $50 a month before you even added live TV. Every time the industry made one of those moves, a wave of people went looking for alternatives, and a lot of them found Stremio. The platform's growth basically traces the industry's own decisions. So let's answer the question from the cold open properly. Stremio can't be shut down the way Popcorn Time was because there's no single thing to sue. The core app does nothing illegal. It's a neutral interface, distributed through official channels that anyone can download. The parts of the ecosystem that operate in legally grey territory sit on completely separate websites that Stremio's team has no hand in running, hosting, or distributing. Legally, none of it belongs to them. And because it's open source and community maintained, there's no one server or team you could take down to end it. If one part of that outside ecosystem gets taken down, it doesn't touch the core app at all, and something else tends to take its place within days. Pieces of the surrounding ecosystem can be slowed down, sure, but there's nothing central left to switch off. That didn't stop people from trying. In January 2026, Stremio was pulled from Google's App Store entirely, after sustained pressure from major players in the entertainment industry. It's a real example of how seriously this app rattles the people who'd rather you stayed on their $19 a month platform. It didn't stick for long. Stremio was back within about a week, because removing it from one storefront doesn't stop the app from existing. You can still download it directly from PC without any store involved, and there are other install paths on mobile too. Banning the app from a store doesn't touch the actual thing that makes it work. So that's the real story. This wasn't a legal loophole they stumbled into or a lucky accident, it was a deliberate architectural decision made back in 2012 to build something with no single point anyone could shut down. 2 developers watched Popcorn Time die and built the opposite of it on purpose. Now, everything I've walked you through today is about the core app and the official side of things. The part that's completely legal, straightforward, no catch. If you want to see exactly how to load Stremio up the right way, with only official and licensed sources, no grey areas at all, I've got a full walkthrough linked right here, and I genuinely recommend starting there before you touch anything else. Subscribe if you want part 2 of this. Whenever there's a real update to the story, this is genuinely one of those apps where something new happens every few months. I'll see you in the next one.